The morning sunlight slipped through the tall glass windows of the Grayson Tower, washing the polished marble floors in a pale golden glow. But inside the penthouse at the very top, the silence was heavy, like a curtain no one dared to lift. The world outside buzzed with life, cars honking, children laughing, the rhythm of a city that never stopped, but here, everything was perfectly still. That's when a small, worn-out birthday card, handmade from colored paper, sat quietly on a mahogany dining table, waiting to be noticed. It looked completely out of place in a home worth millions. And yet, that little card was about to change everything. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a single act of love to change someone's life, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to hear will remind you that even the smallest gesture can heal the deepest wounds. Clara Bennett had been working as a nanny for nearly 15 years, though the word working barely covered what she did. She didn't just raise children, she became the quiet guardian of other people's worlds. At 36, her hands had known more hard work than comfort, her eyes had seen more tears than dreams. She came from a small town 2 hours away, leaving her only son, Jacob, in the care of her aging mother after her husband abandoned them when Jacob was still a baby. Since then, life had been an endless chain of jobs, just enough to survive, never enough to rest. When she got the offer to work for Nathan Grayson, the reclusive CEO of Grayson Enterprises, she thought it was a miracle. The salary was double what she'd ever earned, the mansion luxurious beyond imagination. But she quickly realized that the beauty of the house was only on the surface. Inside, it was cold, lifeless, echoing with loneliness. Nathan's 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was quiet and distant, her mother having passed away 2 years earlier. The CEO himself rarely came home before midnight and often left before dawn, his heart buried beneath the weight of his success and the silence of his loss. Clara tried her best to make the house feel like a home. Every morning she packed Lily's lunch, brushed her hair, and made her smile with silly songs. Every night, she read her bedtime stories, even when she knew the father was too busy to notice. She kept her head down, did her work, and never expected gratitude. That's what poverty teaches you, that your love and effort are not always returned, but you give them anyway. Still, there was one thing that broke Clara's heart a little more every day, the sight of Lily sitting by the window, watching other children being picked up by their parents after school. Sometimes, she'd whisper, "Maybe Daddy will come today." He rarely did. One evening, as Clara was cleaning up after dinner, she noticed a stack of unopened mail on the counter. Most were business letters, some invitations, all ignored. Then she saw it, a small envelope with colorful edges and stickers on it. It was Lily's handwriting. "To Daddy," it said, in careful, uneven letters. The little girl had been working on it all week in secret, a birthday card for her father. She'd cut tiny hearts out of colored paper and glued them with all the care in the world. Inside, she'd written, "Happy birthday, Daddy. I love you more than all the stars. Please don't be sad anymore." The next morning, Clara placed the card neatly on the dining table before leaving for the day, hoping Nathan would see it. It was his birthday, though she doubted he even remembered. She thought it would be a small reminder that someone in that big empty house loved him more than all the money he'd ever made. She didn't know it then, but that small act, leaving that card there, would change not only Nathan's life but her own. Nathan Grayson had built an empire from nothing. People called him a genius, a visionary, a man with a heart of steel. What they didn't know was that the steel was a shield, forged in heartbreak and regret. 2 years earlier, his wife, Amelia, had died in a car accident while he was in a meeting halfway across the city. He hadn't even answered her last call. Since then, he had buried himself in work, pretending that deals and deadlines could fill the void she left behind. But loneliness is a strange companion. It creeps in quietly, like fog through a window, until one day you realize you're completely surrounded by it. That morning, Nathan returned home after a long night at the office. He poured himself a cup of black coffee, glanced at his phone, and noticed the little card on the table. At first, he almost brushed it aside, probably something from the nanny. But the colorful paper caught his eye. He opened it, and when he read the words, his breath caught in his chest. The handwriting was clumsy, the hearts uneven, but the message, it broke through something inside him. Happy birthday, Daddy. I love you more than all the stars. Please don't be sad anymore. Nathan sat there, staring at the words, feeling his throat tighten. He realized Lily had never even mentioned his birthday. He'd forgotten it himself. He'd forgotten so many things: her laughter, her little voice, her mother's warmth, the way love once felt. And then, at the bottom of the card, he noticed a small note written in a different handwriting. It was Clara's. "Sir, Lily made this herself. She's been waiting all week for your birthday. I hope today you'll find a moment to smile, for her." The simplicity of it shattered him. He'd hired Clara because she was quiet, efficient, and didn't ask questions. But this small act of kindness, was louder than anything he'd heard in years. He sat there for a long time, staring at the card until the ink blurred through his tears. For the first time since Amelia's death, Nathan cried. The next few days, something changed. He started coming home earlier, even if only for dinner. He began to notice the drawings on Lily's wall, the songs she hummed, the gentle way Clara cared for her. He saw how Clara always made sure Lily's lunchbox had a small note inside, "Be brave, little star," and how she waited by the window until the car drove away. Nathan started talking to her, at first about Lily, then about life. He learned that Clara's son was sick and living with his grandmother. He learned that she sent most of her salary home for his school fees. He saw the weariness in her face, the quiet pain she carried with grace. And something in him, long buried, began to stir. One evening, as he watched Clara helping Lily with her homework, he realized that the house didn't feel empty anymore. There was laughter now, warmth in the corners where silence used to sit. He'd built towers of glass and steel, but this was what real strength looked like. Love without expectation, care without condition. A month later, Clara received a call from her mother. Jacob had fallen ill again, and the medical bills were piling up. Clara was terrified. She didn't have enough savings, and taking an advance from her salary was out of the question. She considered quitting to go home and care for him, even though she knew it meant losing everything. That night, she sat by the kitchen table long after everyone had gone to bed, tears silently falling as she wrote her resignation letter. She left it next to the same spot on the dining table where Lily's birthday card had once been. The next morning, when Nathan found it, he didn't say a word. He simply folded the letter, walked to the guest room where Clara was packing her things, and handed her an envelope. Inside was a check, enough to pay for Jacob's treatment, his education, and more. She was speechless, trembling as she tried to refuse, but Nathan just said quietly, "You once helped me find my smile again. Now let me help you keep yours." That moment marked the beginning of a new chapter, not just for Clara, but for the entire Grayson household. Months passed, and Jacob recovered. Clara continued to work for the Graysons, though her relationship with Nathan was now built on something deeper: respect, gratitude, and quiet friendship. Nathan, meanwhile, had started transforming not just his home, but his company. He introduced policies to support single parents, increased wages for domestic staff, and began funding education programs for underprivileged children. The man who once lived behind glass walls now spent weekends volunteering with his daughter and the woman who'd unknowingly healed his soul. He often thought back to that day, the little birthday card on the table, and how it had reminded him that love doesn't disappear, it just waits patiently to be found again. And one evening, as they all sat around the table, Lily laughing, Clara smiling, the warmth of family filling the air, Nathan raised a toast, his voice soft but sure. "To the smallest things that make the biggest changes," he said. "And to the people who remind us that kindness still matters." If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories that remind us all that love and kindness can still change lives. Before we end, tell us in the comments, do you believe one small act of kindness can change someone's life forever? Because sometimes, all it takes is a single card, a single word, or a single heart willing to care.